Hey guys, good evening and welcome back to another live. My name is Tolu Frimpong, and on this channel I share loads of content all around personal finance, frugal living, money saving habits and tricks and all that good stuff. So on today's live, guys, I have some exciting things to share with you, but actually I'll go into what we're going to be covering just so you have an idea of the theme for today's conversation. So first of all, what I'm going to be talking about, as you could tell from the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about the cost of living crisis, in particular in the UK, how it's impacted my budget over the last 12 months. And I'll go on then to share some tips and tricks and hacks and things you can do to kind of save money on your groceries during this period of uncertainty. And while all these prices for goods are going up, I'm going to be sharing things you can do to really keep your costs down when it comes to groceries. So let me know in the comment section where you're joining from. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them below and I will get to them eventually during this live conversation. And the final section of today's live, I'm going to be doing something slightly different to any kind of content I've done on this channel previously. What I'm going to be doing is sharing my thoughts and opinions, and not even thoughts and opinions, but lessons that I learned from an interview that I watched recently with Jay-Z and Kevin Hart. So we all know who Jay-Z is. He's arguably one of the best rappers in the world. You can argue the comment section below, but yeah, I'm going to be basically reviewing an interview that he did on Kevin Hart's podcast called Heart to Heart. So I've left the full podcast interview in the description box below, so you can watch that after this live. But that's going to be towards the end of the conversation, and thereafter I'll answer any questions that you may have. So like I said, leave them at the bottom and I'll get to them as the conversation progresses. But before we jump into all the exciting things that we're going to be discussing today, what I want to do first is a little bit of housekeeping. So just share a few things that I think can help you on your financial journey. So if you're new to the channel, like I said, I talk all about personal finance and budgeting. And budgeting is one of those things that I think is pivotal, particularly right now as we're experiencing this cost of living crisis. But even before it and after it, knowing exactly where your money is going is something that's very important. So with that being said, I have a few products that I sell on my website, which I think will help you when it comes to budgeting. So first off, I have my zero-based budget template. So it is an Excel spreadsheet, which in fact I'm going to be going through the printable version first. So I have a printable version of my zero-based budget, and what that basically does is it gives you the opportunity to write pound for pound exactly where your money's going. It allows you to track your expenses, your income, and everything in between. It also allows you to set your financial goals on there, and at the moment I do it as a printable version. So you download it, 160 pages, and you complete it at your leisure or as you need to. But what I would be doing eventually is a print run, so you can actually have physical copies of this. So if it is something you're interested in, let me know, and if I have enough demand for it, then it's something I would like to introduce for you as a digital product, or physical product rather. And then in addition to my printable budget planner, I also have my Excel template. This is the most popular one. So many people have used it. Over 100 people have used it to help them with their budgeting, with their personal finances. It helped me when I was on my debt-free journey to pay off over £36,000 worth of debt. So it's a template that I swear by. It's helped me so much over the years, and I still use it I still use it till this day to manage my personal finances. So yeah, if you're interested in a budget template and you need one, definitely check it out. The link will be in the description box below. And then finally, I am a money coach. So I do one-to-one coaching with people to help them on their financial journey. So if you are in a position where you don't know where your money is going and you need help on your financial journey, you need help planning, setting financial goals, achieving those financial goals, then definitely reach out to me in the comment section below, or rather via the link in the description box below. Just reach out to me and I can definitely book you in for a coaching call. We can have a conversation and see how I can help you on your transformational journey with your finances. But that's housekeeping out of the way. Now we're going to dive into today's conversation. Like I said, what I really want to discuss with you guys today is the cost of living crisis. So unless you've been hiding under a rock for the last, 12 to 18 months, you may not realize, but right now it's peak in the world. Like, the cost of living is at an all-time high, and basically, in essence, the cost of living crisis is basically the prices of goods are rising. Goods, energy, taxes, everything is rising at a very fast rate. but income isn't rising at the same rate. So at the moment, inflation, which is basically the cost of goods rising, is at an all-time high, the highest it's been actually in over 40 years, which is absolutely insane. I remember the last recession back in 2008 and we thought it couldn't get worse than that, but right now it is worse than that. And yeah, the cost of living is just, it's just out of control, really. Everything is so expensive. It's currently at 9.4% in the UK. In the US, I believe it's at 9.1. In Canada, I believe it's at 8.1 as well. It's just, yeah, everything is so expensive. And what that basically means for us, for me, for you, is that our money is worth less. Not worth less as in not worth anything, but it's worth less as in it has less value. So what £1 could have brought you 6 weeks ago, it's not buying you today. You'll need about £1.20 or £1.30, depending on the cost of the item. Because even though inflation is at 9.4%, for some goods, it's way higher, which you'll see as I go into this conversation now and I show you how my budget has changed over the last year. You'll see that this 9.4% is even nice in some areas. For food, it's a lot higher than that. So yeah, that's basically in essence what inflation is and the cost of living crisis. And the reason why we just need to be really mindful of it and aware of it and conscious of it is because, like I said, our money is losing value. So we really need to make sure we are making the most of our money and getting our money working for us, because it's crazy out here in these streets. And yeah, we just want to do what we can to ensure we're getting the most out of our money, because we're literally having to make our money work harder for us, because yeah, things are just becoming so expensive. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you what it looks like, or talk you through what it looks like, should I say, for myself and for my budget. So I'm just looking down at my notes to kind of show you just a few price comparisons. I didn't put them on the screen, but I'll talk you through them. So looking at my budget from 2021 to 2022, and side note, actually, this is why I think having a budget is so important. I'm able to actually do this exercise and look at how much things cost me last year versus now, because I've been budgeting for all these years. So I'm able to really track and see how much I was spending last year versus this year versus the year before, and I can then use that to forecast into the future, which is why I bang on about budgeting so much. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, definitely subscribe if you're new around here watching me for the first time. But if you are a returning subscriber, you know that budgeting is something I'm always speaking about, and it's because it is just so important to know your numbers, understand your numbers, and really get your money working as well for you as you can. But anyway, I digress. Going back to my budget for 2021. So food, on average, so last year I looked at how much I spent in July, and that was pretty much the trend for last year. I spent on average between like 230, 240 to 250, 260 on groceries, and that's for a family of 5 living in London. I had me, my husband, and my 3 sons, and that's how much we were spending last year. Fast forward now to July, just gone, literally a couple of days ago, and we've spent over £350. So our budget now for groceries is £350 per month. So that's literally 46% price increase year on year just for groceries alone. And if it was just groceries in isolation, then you could say, okay, that can be managed, and we just need to cut back in other areas and we should be okay. But as we know, as you've probably seen, as I have seen, it's not just groceries that have increased in price. So we're talking petrol as well. Petrol is now close to £2 a litre. And looking at my transport costs year on year, funnily enough, last year I spent £250 on average on transport. This year, actually, July to July was the same £250. And you might be thinking, Tolly, where are you getting your petrol from? How have you managed to maintain the same transport costs? But actually, one thing that I've found myself doing since the start of this year is walking a lot more. So whereas before I would drive everywhere, drive to the school run, drive to my mother-in-law's house, drive, literally just jump in a car and go and not even give it a second thought. Now, with costs being so high, petrol costing so much, I have to be mindful about the trips that I take in the car. Even when the kids are running late for school, I want to jump in the car. I've got my husband in my ear telling me, no, walk, take the car, don't take the car. They can ride their scooters and you can walk with them. And towards the end of this academic year, my sons were always complaining, like, I don't want to walk. Why do we have to walk every day? Every day we have to walk. The car's right there. And I'm like, yeah, you guys don't understand what is going on here. Petrol is too expensive. We need to use our 2 feet and walk to our destination. So that's how I've kind of been able to offset the transport costs over the last few months. Even though petrol's rising a lot, I've just tried to avoid using the car as much as possible and walk or use the scooters where we can. And yeah, just taking a lot more a lot less frequent car journeys. But I know for so many people that's not necessarily an option or possible. So like for me, to be fair, it was me being lazy. The school is like a 15-minute walk away from my house, so yes, I could walk it. But when you're running late, you leave as close to the time school starts, you're just rushing to get them there on time. But one of the things I've had to do is obviously try and leave earlier so that I can have enough time for the walk to school. But if you don't have that option, you don't have that luxury, you can't walk to school, it's a half an hour drive or so, maybe consider alternative modes of transport. So where you're driving everywhere, maybe try and take the train or a bus instead, or ride a scooter. Like I see so many people riding scooters these days. There's so many different things you can do, alternative modes of transport that you can try to in order to kind of keep those transport costs down. But overall, transport costs are rising and they're still going to continue rising, which is absolutely insane. And then if that wasn't enough, another area that I noticed in my budget where the prices have literally skyrocketed, as you know, can you guess in the comment section, literally the cost of energy. So I'm talking gas and electricity. The way it's rising is insane. Like it's just so crazy. Even when I watch like the news or I listen to Martin Lewis and he's doing these forecasts about these price hikes that were coming in April just gone, I don't think I really processed how much money it was going to be until April came and I noticed my gas bill literally skyrocket. So July last year, we were spending approximately, I wrote it down here, 110 on gas and electricity. So probably like 40 on electricity, about 70 on gas. Fast forward now to 2022 and we are spending £200 on the same gas and electricity. It's not no premium version, it's not a better version, it's the same gas and electricity that we're now paying £200 a month for. Absolutely insane. Like it's just so crazy. That's an 81% price increase just for our gas and electricity from like what, October last year, August last year to now. And what's even more insane is that in October it's set to rise by another 60 something percent. So yeah, cost of living, we are actually in a cost of living crisis. Cost of living is out of control. Everything is getting so expensive. But what I don't want to do in this video is just be all doom and gloom and just focus on the negatives, because yes, it is bleak and yes, it's out of control, but all we can do as people is focus on the things that are within our control and the things that we can do something about. So yes, we could sit around, all day having conversations with our friends or our colleagues talking about how expensive everything it is in the UK, how expensive everything costs and how bleak and doom and gloom everything looks. But who is that helping? Who is that serving? It's not helping you. It's not helping me. All it's doing is making us all miserable and depressed. So let's try, as hard as it is, I'm not saying it's easy, but let's not try and focus on the things that are without our control or beyond our control, and let's look internally at the things we can do to save our money where we can. So one of the things I did recently, something I'd been stalling on for the longest of time, is I contacted my mobile phone service provider and I negotiated a new contract. Now I've been on my contract now for like 3 years. So bear in mind that it's a 24-month contract. So after 24 months, I should have been on the phone calling them and like, yeah, I need to cancel this I need to cancel this mobile phone contract because yeah, I need a better deal. But I was stalling and procrastinating for the longest of time. And then eventually I was like, do you know what? I need some spare money and I'm just spending too much on all these price increases. What can I do to save money on my budget somewhere? And then one thing I looked at straight away is like, wait, my mobile phone, I've been dilly-dallying and stalling for the longest of times to kind of sort out this contract. Let me just contact my mobile service provider now and see if I can get a new contract. And that's exactly what I did. So I was able to reduce my monthly phone bill from like £45 a month to £20 a month. And that's instantly a £25 saving just from making that 1 or 2 phone calls to my mobile phone company and trying to negotiate with them. So I went from a SIM and phone deal to a SIM only contract. And yeah, I got a good deal and I was able to reduce my monthly expense in that area. Now look at your budget and look at all your expenses. What areas are there that you can make cutbacks? There's some things, like I said, that I spoke about already that are beyond your control, but the things in your budget that you have just been paying autopilot monthly, what can you do to reduce those expenses? So definitely after this call, go away, look at your budget. If you don't have a budget, like I said, look in the description box below and grab yourself one of my budget templates, either the Excel or the written version, and start plugging your numbers into it and start looking at your numbers and seeing areas in which you can make cutbacks and reductions and savings. So yeah, I'll definitely say that. But that was a side note actually, because that's not the point of what I wanted to go into. But I thought I'd mention it there in case there's anybody thinking, where else can I make savings beyond the groceries, in which I'm going to go on now to talk about. One of the things you can do is look at your subscriptions and see the areas in which you can reduce them or see where you can make cutbacks. So do you necessarily need all the subscriptions you currently have? Maybe it might be time to consider cancelling the mobile phone contract that you currently have. So I've just seen a comment come down. Hi Tolu, I went to a SIM only contract and definitely paying less per month. Absolutely brilliant, Elaine. Yes, listen, it's SIM only is the way forward. Even with the mobile phone contracts, a lot of the times you're paying a lot more for the mobile phone than you would if you just went outright and bought a second-hand used phone, because all you need a phone for is to make phone calls, send texts, take pictures and use the internet. And most smartphones these days can do that to a decent degree, especially when it comes to picture quality. So you don't necessarily need the latest iPhone just because it's come out. You can actually just go for maybe an iPhone 8, 9. I don't know what the latest one is these days, so you might be laughing when you hear the iPhone number I've said, but you go for an older model and you'll see that you can save money that way, rather than paying extortionate prices for a contract just for a handset, which is what I've done way too many times, and I won't be doing it again. Bubble Bunny said, thanks Tolu, let's get through this with some amazing tips and hacks. Yes, and with that being said, I'm going to jump in to those amazing tips and hacks for you now. So now what I want to do is go through how to reduce the money you spend on groceries as we go through this cost of living crisis. So I've written down 13 different things that will definitely help. And what I want you to do is let me know in the comment section as I'm going through them. If they're ones you've tried, will consider trying. Let me know if there's any additional ones that I haven't mentioned towards the end of the conversation. And then also let me know once I've gone through all 13 of them if you want a part 2, because I have so many other tips. But I'm conscious of my time and your time, and I didn't want this live to go on for way too long. So with that being said, I'm going to go through the 13 for you now. And if you want a part 2, like I said, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know you want a part 2. But let's go into the 13 ways that I've got written down for you to reduce your grocery spending. Okay, so the first thing I've got on my list is for you to plan ahead. So plan ahead when you're doing your grocery shop. So when I say plan ahead, what I'm talking about is look in your pantry cupboard, look in your fridge, look in your freezer, even before you leave your house. Make notes of what you've currently got and what else you need to make complete meals. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, in the freezer, you find you have some chicken. Okay, you've got chicken. What are you going to eat with that chicken? You probably have rice as well in the food cupboard because those are like staple ingredients. Okay, so what additional ingredients do I need to buy on this week's shop in order to now make that a complete meal? So going through your cupboards and your fridge and your freezer and making notes of what additional ingredients you need to then make a meal will really help you when you then go shopping. So you have a list of things that you want to buy, but not only do you have a list of things, you have a specific list relevant to what you have at home. So you're not just writing a shopping list, going to buy chicken only to get home and find that you've got 3 packets already in the freezer, which I've done on occasions before, so I won't begrudge you for doing the same, but we can learn and grow. So moving forward, it's definitely a good idea to kind of just have a quick look. What's in the fridge? What do I have at home? And what additional items do I now need to make this a complete meal? And what am I going to be eating for the rest of the week or for the whole week? So creating that meal plan for the week will really help you when it comes to saving money on the groceries, because the worst thing you can do, and again, I've been guilty of this is why I'm telling you not to make those same mistakes. The worst thing you can do is go to the grocery store without a clue of what you're buying and just go in on impulse based on what you see, based on the special offers, based on what tickles your fancy. So you're going through the aisles, just looking around and thinking, oh, this looks nice, let me buy that. Because what ends up happening is, number one, you waste a lot of money because you're just buying all these additional items that you probably don't need. And then number two, there ends up being a lot of waste. I don't know about you, but I've done it on occasions in the past where I've gone grocery shopping and just bought things that I've seen that tickle my fancy, but the eyes are bigger than the belly. That's a saying that my mum used to always say. And it's so true. Like, you just see it, you want it, but how much can one person really consume? You can't eat it all anyway. And what ends up happening is you end up wasting a lot of that food. So definitely plan ahead, look in your cupboard, see what you've got and write that list and stick to that list when you go to the stores. The worst thing you can do is be distracted by the special offers that are taking place at the store, because a lot of times some of those special offers are not even the best deal. They may be the best deal on the branded item, but actually you can buy a non-branded item which is just as good for a fraction of that price. So that's the first thing I would say doing. Another thing, in addition to that planning ahead point that I just made, I would also say to do a bit of research as well. So don't necessarily, like for me, for example, I shop in Aldi all the time. Don't get into that habit of just staying in the same store because that's what you're used to, that's what you do routinely. Maybe try shopping around. So actually, if you do a bit of research, maybe what you buy in Aldi that is usually the cheapest price, this week Morrisons are doing an offer on that same item. So buy it from Morrisons as opposed to from Aldi. So just a bit of research and planning really does help you save money on your groceries. So like my mom always says, fail to plan, you plan to fail, or plan to fail, you fail to plan. Either way, basically have that plan and stick to that plan and it will save you money on your groceries. Moving on to the next point I have, and I swear by this one, guys, it is to buy generic products. So when I say generic, I mean own brand. So Aldi have their own brand, Tesco, Morrisons, everyone, they all have their own brand of everything you can think of buying. And all it means is when you go to the store, rather than picking up the item that's at eye level, just look down a couple of shelves and you'll find a cheaper alternative of that same item, which will save you a lot more money. So I've put an example on my notes here of Heinz baked beans, and I always talk about Heinz baked beans because I used to be an avid Heinz baked beans eater. So Heinz baked beans eater, wow, that was a tongue twister. But I used to love Heinz baked beans, like literally, that was me. I couldn't eat any other beans. I was a snob when it came to baked beans. However, if you know my debt story, if you don't, look at it, it's on my channel, but I was in a lot of debt, over £36,000 worth of debt. And at that time when we was on our debt-free journey, things like being a brand snob just were not an option for us because we needed to get as much money as we can free up as much money as we can to pay down that debt. And one of those things that we had to do is look at cheap ways to get food, like cheaper alternatives for our food. So all of that, I only eat Heinz beans. I had to humble myself and buy the Aldi beans. But with that being said, Aldi baked beans, right, are 35p for 1 can or 4 cans for £1. And that price, surprisingly, is still the price now, given that everything else has gone up. They've still got it at £1. Let's see how long that lasts. But for now, I think, yeah, it's 4 for £1, or maybe it's even 3 for £1. Either way, that's the price for the Aldi beans. The Heinz beans in the same Aldi is £3.50 for 4 beans. So that's just one item. If you do that across everything that you buy in your weekly grocery haul, you can quickly see how being a brand snob is going to cost you a fortune. So definitely, if you're one of those people that I only use Colgate toothpaste, I only buy Heinz beans, I only eat Kellogg's cereal, all of that is costing you a fortune. So definitely, where you can, make those brand switches. Now, I'm not saying do it for every single item because I recognize sometimes you can actually taste the difference and the quality is different for the cheaper alternative versus the branded good. But where you can, try and go for the cheaper alternative. Also, maybe challenge yourself to try it at least before you say, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not buying no value products. Just challenge yourself to just try it, taste it and see. And you might find a lot of times that it tastes the same or sometimes even maybe better. So definitely I'd say do that. And then moving on to the next point I have, is eat healthier. So I wrote down here that convenience costs, and it is so true. We pay for convenience. Convenience items come at a premium price. So definitely go for healthier alternatives, because yeah, the healthier alternatives save you money and save you your health, I guess you can say. So even things like pre-packaged pre-packaged fruit and veg, so you know, like an apple for example, sliced up into one packet is going to cost you more than if you just brought a whole apple. But if you notice as well, food that is in the packets that's already like pre-cut and things don't taste the same as when you buy the whole item. I don't know what they do to them before they bag them. I guess they do something to keep it fresh in those packets, but the quality is not the same anyway, and you're paying a premium just because you can't be bothered to chop up an apple. It's like literally convenience is just costing you money. And the same thing goes for like meal deals as well. So you've got like, I don't know, ready-made lasagnas or shepherd's pies or pasta bakes. I think everything pretty much comes in a ready meal these days, but just try and avoid them and make your own. It will save you money and it will taste a lot better than the pre-packaged or pre-made one could ever taste. Next up, I have, so next on the list, I have is, oh, okay, this is a good one. So buy produce in season. So when I say produce, I'm talking about your fruits and your vegetables. So some fruit and veg, if you're buying it when it's not in season, comes at a premium price. But when you buy it when it's the season for it, you notice that the prices are a lot lower. So like right now, I've got a list actually of fruits and veg that are in season. So you can make a mental note of these, or I can add it to the comment section below actually afterwards. But fruits currently in season, we've got apricots, blackberries, blueberries, cherries, kiwis, melons, nectarines, peaches and raspberries. Oh, strawberries and tomatoes too. Tomatoes, fruit, yeah, believe it or not. But yeah, we've got all of those. And then vegetables, at the moment, we've got, oh gosh, I can't say this word, aubergines. I hope I said that right. Aubergines, beetroot, broad beans, broccoli, carrots, celery, courgettes, cucumber, fennel, peas, peppers, potatoes, rocket, sweet corn and watercress. So those are some of the items, or produce rather, right now that you can buy at a cheaper price than you would any other time of the year. So think about these types of lists and use that to kind of plan your meals around it, because that will help you save money as well on your groceries for sure. And also the next one on the topic of produce, actually, I would say don't always buy fresh produce. Listen, I go through these seasons when I'm like, I'm going to be eating clean, I'm going to be eating healthy, I'm going to be so good. And I buy all these packet salads. The week comes, maybe 2-3 days into the week, I still haven't had my salad. My husband's like, are you not going to eat these salads that you brought? I'm like, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. 5-6 days into the week, I still haven't eaten it. And guess what happens to that packet of salad? It gets wasted. It goes off and I end up throwing it in the bin and I end up wasting that food. And I know I'm not the only person that does this. I put my hand up. Can you put your hand up too? And say if that is you that does the same, because we have all these good intentions, right? And we're like, I'm going to be good, I'm going to be disciplined, but life happens, you get busy, you go out with your friends, you come home late, you get back late from work, you can't be bothered to eat, and all this fresh produce that you've brought ends up expiring and going off. So instead of buying fresh all the time, what you can do is also buy frozen versions of it, or you can even freeze the fresh version. Oh my gosh, I'm getting tongue twisted. Or you can also freeze that fresh produce as well. So actually, one of my friends, finance friends, Yvonne Haduma, I'll link the video in the notes if I remember afterwards. She's got a really good video about how to make your own frozen veg from fresh vegetables. So yeah, I'll link that video below, but she basically shows you how to dice it and package it and put it in your freezer so that it doesn't go off and you don't end up wasting your money. So definitely it's worth doing that. Don't just always buy fresh produce if you know you're not going to eat it and then you end up wasting it. So for me, for example, one thing that I do when I'm on my clean eating journey is I'll buy like lemons, for example, because I want to have lemon in my water. And yeah, I think it's supposed to be good for your digestion and all the rest of it. But what would end up happening is I would buy that produce. I'll buy those fresh lemons, a fresh packet. I'd cut it in half, squeeze half of it into my water. The other half will go in the fridge and it will stay there until it goes off. But now in Aldi, they sell these packets of cut up lemons and limes in a bag. So I've got that bag and it's lasted me already for like 2 weeks. So I just literally take the slices out and put them in my tea, and then that's that. And that way I don't waste money buying all these fresh lemons and wasting them. I could just use that frozen version and it can just last for a long time. Hello, friend. How are you, my friend? Hi, Zephyr. I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for joining the conversation. Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. Actually, like I said, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, and also don't forget to give this wow, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this content, because yeah, it does help with the algorithms and all that jazz. It helps to push the video out to a wider audience. So, and if you're not subscribed yet, do hit that subscribe button, because it'll be nice to have you as part of our little family here on my little corner of the internet. But yeah, going on, what point am I on now? I am on point number 6. Oh, that was a good one. Buy food, yeah, that's close to expiry date. So I know some people hate the idea of that, and once upon a time I was like you. I would not go to that area of Tesco or any of the supermarkets where they have all these yellow sticker items. These are items that are going off that day. But don't be like that. Try it out. Go there. You might find some really good bargain food that you can now take home, put in the freezer, and it can last for a lot longer, because you don't actually have to consume it on that best before date if you freeze it. Even some of those items, to be honest, I've refrigerated them and they've been fine for a couple of days after the expiry date. But I think I have a stronger stomach than most, so maybe don't try that at home. But definitely where you can freeze it, it's worth doing it, because you're going to save yourself a lot of money that way. Oh, okay, so we're on point number 7 now. And this is an important one actually, and that's to check the unit price of the item that you're purchasing. Now, when you go to the supermarkets, they give you the price. I wish I had brought an image actually that I could show you, but just Google it, unit price, and it will show you like the labels for the supermarkets. So you have 2 prices on those labels, believe it or not. You have the actual price of the item, and then in small print underneath it to the right, you have the unit price of that item. And what you really want to focus on when you're shopping is the unit price and not the main price. And the reason being is that sometimes what you think is a good deal may not actually be a good deal, because yeah, for whatever reason, these stores, they like to trick us and they give us all these fantastic marketing messages. I work in marketing, so I know how it works. And you do this to trick the consumer into thinking that they're getting a good deal, because somehow it's the psychology behind it. They make you think you're getting a good deal. You're more likely to buy it. You're more likely to buy 2 for £1 than you are to buy the item for £1. Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think that was a really bad example. But basically, when the offer is, when there's an offer to be had, we think it's great and we buy it. So even the other day, Amazon Prime, they were doing Prime Day deals. A lot of those deals were not actually deals. Those same item that they went to go and put that yellow label next to saying Prime Day deal 2 weeks before was for that same discounted price or very close to it. But what they do is they gloss it up with their 50% reduction, 40% reduction since like yesterday. And then you think that you've got a fantastic deal and you're more likely to buy, and you're more likely to buy more. I know I fall for it all the time. As much as I say I work in marketing, I'm still a sucker for a good deal. So tell me it's 50% off and I'm more likely to look at it than if it was just at that price to begin with, if that makes sense. So definitely look at the unit price, because that shows you the price you're paying for 1 unit of that item. So where the price may be like, I don't know, £5, but the unit price is 50p for 1 item, whereas the next one might be 25p for 1 unit of the item. So even though it might have a more expensive label price, actually the unit price that is lower is what you really want to focus on. I hope that makes sense. Oh, in terms of yeah, so that's the point I wanted to make there. And also that bigger isn't always better. So that's why, going back to the point about the unit price, it's important to focus on that, because just because it's the bigger item doesn't necessarily mean it's the cheapest price, because we tend to think that, right? If you buy, let's say the ketchup, for example, you buy the biggest bottle, it's going to be cheaper than if you buy a smaller bottle. But sometimes it may not be the case, especially if there's like discounts or promotions on the smaller bottle. It might be that actually it's cheaper for you to buy 3 of the smaller one than it is for you to buy 1 of the larger one. So there's a lot of mathematics that has to go in place while you're doing this, while you're shopping. But do the math so that you're not being ripped off and you're getting the most bang for your bucks. Sorry, time for a water break. Oh my gosh, my throat was getting dry, sorry. Okay, so next up on the list, I have buying in bulk. Now this one, I'm going to put a caveat on because actually sometimes not all bulk items are the better deal. So again, going back to the point I made earlier or a moment ago, you do really want to look at the unit price of those items to make sure that in bulk you're still getting the best deal. But when you go to places like Costco, Macro, Booker, if you can get the membership cards for those places, you can generally get a better discount on bulk purchases at those places than you would if you're buying those same items in a supermarket. So I like to quarterly go to Costco to get those items, to get those items in bulk that I wouldn't be able to get or that I could get at a supermarket but I use frequently. It's cheaper to buy it in bulk at Macro, if that makes sense. I mean Costco, sorry, if that makes sense. So definitely, yeah, if you can buy in bulk, even if you could maybe team up with a friend or family member, because I know like for my family quite a few of us have the Costco card, so we can all use it at the same time and then distribute the quantity. So like for example, the virgin oil, I'll buy the big multi-pack and then share it with my mum because how much oil can I use within the space of a year? But it still works out cheaper for me even doing that and giving one away than buying it constantly every week at Aldi. So definitely where you can, buy in bulk, but like I said before, do the maths because sometimes it's not necessarily the best deal for that particular item. So yeah, definitely fact check and check the prices on comparison sites or on the internet before you just go wild in Costco, because it's very easy to do so in that place. It's so amazing in there and you can get very carried away and spend a fortune, which we don't want to be doing in these times. So the next one I've got for you is to try a budget challenge. So budget. I talk about budgets all the time on this channel, but I think one thing that can really help you to reduce your expenses when it comes to groceries, especially during these times of the cost of living crisis, is to try a budget challenge. Now, what do I mean by a budget challenge? What I mean is challenge yourself to spend less than you ordinarily would on your groceries. So if you've been tracking your expenses for the past month and you're seeing that on average you're spending £80 a week on groceries, challenge yourself to spend £70 and you'll be surprised at what you're able to come up with when you start being creative, like thinking outside of the box. Suddenly you find ways to make savings and get the same meal and the same outcome for less. So I think definitely challenge yourself to do it and make it a fun challenge for yourself. Like, how much can I reduce my grocery bill by this week? So rather than spending £80, I'm going to spend £70. How am I going to make it happen? Things like going to the store cupboard, like I mentioned earlier, and making a list and brand swapping and all these things that we've discussed so far on this live. Just putting a few of them into action as you're grocery shopping over the next few weeks. You'll see how much money you're able to save and reduce your grocery spend by just by trying them out. Okay, so we're on to point number 11. So I've got 3 more for you before we move into the next topic for this live. So next up I have, for all my, is it carnivores? That's what you call them, people that eat meat, right? For all my meat lovers, try meatless meals. So if you're used to eating meat every single day, so I'm talking chicken, fish, meat, whatever, every single day with your meals, literally skipping meat maybe 1, 2, 3 meals a week is going to save you so much money. Because if you look at your receipt when you go grocery shopping and you buy meat, you're going to see that that is one of the biggest expenses that you have on your shopping list. So just buy one meal, skipping chicken, skipping the meat, especially red meat, you're going to save yourself so much money on your grocery shop. So yes, I know, I don't know about you actually, but I know for me, I grew up eating meat with every meal. So it's like the meal's almost incomplete if there's no meat on the plate. But just training yourself and unlearning those habits of having to meet training yourself and unlearning those habits of having to meet, wow, I've said it again last time, training yourself and learning that habit of not eating meat with every single meal is going to save you so much money in the long run on your groceries. So yes, I said it, go meat free. I'm not telling you to become a vegan, but just try a couple of vegan meals a week in that meal plan and you're going to be surprised at how much you're able to cut your grocery cost by. Yes, exactly. There you go. Eating meat 2 to 3 times per week is most healthy, I've read. Yeah, I've read that too, actually, that you shouldn't really be eating meat every single day anyway. So help your health and help your purse by not eating meat every single day. And next up, I'm going to say, okay, this is something that I do sometimes, especially when my budget gets out of control, or like I'm noticing that my grocery budget I've been going over, is tallying up what I'm spending as I'm going through the store. So literally just on your phone, use a calculator, and as you're putting things in your basket, type them in on the calculator. Yes, you might look like a mad person in the store, and people might be giving you the side eye as you're walking through the aisles, but it really does help you curb your spending while you're at the grocery store, because when you're deep in or really processing how much certain items are costing you, you sometimes think twice about putting it in your basket. And also it helps you to know exactly how much you're spending. So when you get to your cap, that £70 that you're challenging yourself to stick to, then you stop putting items in your basket. Another thing that's going to help you, actually, which I'll throw in here for free, is to take cash on those shopping trips. Yes, you remember money, that thing with the Queen's head that we used to use once upon a time to spend and buy things. I know money is like, you never see it these days, right? But I think if you're really struggling with keeping on top of your grocery spending and you really want to keep those costs low, then definitely try going shopping with money, physical or tangible money, while stores still accept it, actually, because I know they're really trying to move away from cash, and we've got all of these cashless tills in the supermarkets and everything else. But at least for now, while they are still accepting cash, definitely try it out. Take cash, tally up what you're buying as you're going through the store, and you'll see that that will help you stick to that grocery budget for sure. And then the last thing on my list, we've come to the end, so thanks for sticking with me, guys. The last thing on my list in terms of ways to save money on groceries as we're like surviving this cost of living crisis is to cook in bulk. So bulk cooking, batch cooking, when you're making your meals, make double the portion and save some of it. You can either freeze it so that you can have it at a later date for maybe the next week or even 2-3 weeks in the future, or you can save some of it for lunch the next day. So rather than eating out or buying lunch while you're out at work during the week, you can eat those meals that you had prepared the night before. So batch cooking, bulk cooking will definitely save you so much money, because you've already bought those items. Just buying a few more of them and making the big meal, it's going to save you money, and it's also going to save you time. So it's kind of a win-win situation doing it. Yes, it might be time consuming initially to do that batch cooking, but fast forward a month of doing this and you're going to be so happy when you look at your freezer and you have like literally a month's worth of food stocked up there ready to go and get you through the next month's worth of days. So yeah, that's literally this so that's literally the 13 different ways that I had for you to save money on groceries. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of them. Let me know if there's any of them you're going to try, ones that you've tried before, ones that you hadn't heard of. Let me know if there's any additional ones that I didn't mention that you think I should have mentioned. Also, let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned, or just about budgeting and finance in general. I'll do my best to answer it towards the end of today's conversation. But that's literally it don't go anywhere yet, I haven't finished. That's literally it in terms of the groceries and how to save money on it, cost of living crisis, how crazy it is, how it's impacted my budget, etc. We're going to kind of shift gears and switch up today's conversation. Like I mentioned earlier on, it's going to be something that I don't usually do on my channel, but I'm trying new formats. Even this talking to you guys live, this is something new for me. But you know, we're learning, we're growing, we're changing, we're trying new things and trying to level up and all the rest of it. But yeah, going to switch it up now onto the next topic, and I'll let you know. Or the budget challenge. Elaine says she likes the budget challenge. Amazing. Definitely do it and let me know how you get on with it, Elaine, okay? Oh my gosh, okay. I hope technology doesn't fail me, yeah, because I'm about to move on to the next section and I don't know if this is going to work. So let me know in the comment section if you can hear the audio. But what I'm going to be doing now, let me breathe because I've been talking a lot and talking very fast. I know, guys, I talk fast and I'm really trying to slow myself down. I'm so conscious of it, but I just can't help myself. Can you tell I'm passionate and excited, and yeah, just an excitable person. So I'm trying to just slow down a little bit. But For those of you watching live, I guess there's nothing you can do. You just have to try and keep up with me. But if you're watching on the replay, you can slow videos down. So you can literally slow them down. On the right, there's a tab, and yeah, it gives you the option so you can like slow it down so that you can hear and take in everything that I'm saying to you. Because that's what I do. I do the opposite when I watch YouTube videos. I turn it up. So most videos that I watch them on like 2x speed so that I can, yeah, just get to the point quickly because yeah, I don't have time. But yeah, I'm trying, okay? Work with me. I'm a work in progress. But anyway, I'm just rambling on now. Let me move on to the next topic that we're going to be discussing. So what I'm going to be doing now, breathe. Okay, Tolly, calm down. You're too excited. I'm excited because the next topic is, yeah, really exciting to talk about, to be honest. It's something that I haven't done before. Basically, I watch a lot of content on YouTube, right? I watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews. I read a lot of books. I'm always trying to learn. So I'm always taking on information. And what I thought would be really helpful to do for you guys on here is to really share what I'm learning as I'm picking up on these little gems and nuggets. Why not share them instead of just keeping everything to myself, right? So that's what I'm basically going to be doing here and there when I hear something that I think is worthwhile sharing with you. So last week or a couple of weeks ago, I listened to an interview that Jay-Z did with Kevin Hart. So those of you that don't know who Jay-Z is, he's a rapper. He's like married to Beyonce. I don't think anybody here doesn't know who he is. So if you don't, then I don't know, Google him. But he's like one of the best rappers in the world, so they say. And then Kevin Hart, he's a comedian. So they sat down for a conversation, like a podcast style interview, and they were talking about Jay-Z's journey. But it was really interesting because number one, he doesn't really do interviews, or that I see anyway, not recently anyway, maybe back in the days when I guess he needed the PR. Now you don't really see him so much sitting down having lengthy conversations like that. So when I saw it was a 45-minute chat, I was like, oh, let me listen to it, see what he has to say, and hear if he has any gems to share. And lo and behold, he had so many gems to share in that interview. Now, again, conscious of my time and your time, I can't go through everything I took from that podcast. I've linked it in the description box below, so you can definitely listen to it after this conversation. But what I will be doing in this live now is sharing a few clips from the interview and then sharing what I took away from it. And yeah, the lessons that I learned from, yeah, Kevin Hart's conversation with Jay-Z. So hopefully it's interesting and insightful to you. Again, if you have any comments on what I say, leave it below. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, with that being said, watch the first clip and I'll come back and I'll give you my lesson I learned. Okay, so technical difficulties, but we move. Okay, so I hope you were able to hear what I said. Oh, is my volume back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me, guys. I was just there talking to myself. Oh, it's back. Okay, super. Okay, so hopefully you guys could all hear what he was saying there. But in that conversation, Jay-Z was basically talking about how amazing we are basically as black people. I'm black. Newsflash. But just in general, he was talking about how resourceful we can be and how resilient we can be, in that we can go through things in life. Things are thrown at us, adversities, challenges, struggles, but then we just make the most out of it. We can literally make something out of nothing. So he gave the example of, they gave us scraps, so we made soul food. And it's like, it's so true. Like, you can literally make anything out of any situation you're in. And if I just take that to what we were talking about earlier today in terms of the cost of living crisis, and right now how bleak things look, like right now our budgets are probably more stretched than ever before, and financially a lot of people are struggling. And you can look at your situation right now and think it's bleak, it's lights out for me, there's nothing I can do about it. But flip it on its head and just think, okay, what can I do with the resources I have in my hand right now? Yes, I may not be on that 6-figure salary making £100,000 a year, but what can I do with the £30,000 a year that I'm making right now? Let me focus on my situation, focus on my finances, focus on my budget and where I am right now, and not consume myself with what other people are doing or compare myself to anybody else's situation, but recognize the blessings that are in my hand and best believe I'm going to make the most out of it. So that's kind of what I took from that conversation. It's just that a lot of us kind of have that greener grass syndrome where we just, think things are better over there and things could be better over there. But actually, why not take whatever's been given to you and make something magical out of it? Because yeah, you can, like, literally the power is in our hands to transform our financial situations. And rather than complaining about what I don't have and, the struggles, I'm not minimizing anybody's struggle, because listen, I haven't made it by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am going to do is make the most out of what is in my hand and not focus too much on where I am now, but recognize that this is a temporary situation and actually I can get to where I want to get to with enough persistence, perseverance, and the right attitude. Oh, thanks, Elaine. Elaine said that's great information to share. Brilliant. So yeah, that was the first point that I took from that conversation. Let me know if there was anything that stood out to you from what he said in that little clip. I recognize that it was just a little soundbite that I clipped. So actually, you may need a bit more context to it. But from what you heard, let me know if there's anything else that you took from what he said. But I just thought it was just brilliant, like what he was saying about how amazing we are, as people, and then also how amazing he's been in terms of his journey. Because when you look at Jay-Z, for those of you that know, he came from nothing. Like you've come from nothing, but you've built this amazing life from it. And when he was there back, 30 plus years ago, whenever he was young, on that pursuit of his rap career, thinking, how can I make it? How can I break through? Things looked bleak. They looked like there was no way to do it, but yet he had the right attitude, the work ethic, and continued to persevere. And fast forward, he's now a billionaire. So it just goes to show that mind over matter can really take you far. But yeah, with that being said, here's the second clip for you guys. Okay, so that was the second clip, and let me know in the comment section below what you thought of it. But for me, I took I took a lot from that little clip, or from that part of the conversation. And one of the main things I'd say I took is about creating a blueprint and creating, so when you do things and when you're building your business, building your career, building your budget, whatever you're doing, create that blueprint so that you can then pass it on to the next person. So what I loved about what he was saying is, like, without Jay-Z, there would be no Kanye West. I don't know about that actually, because Kanye was an entity in himself. But without Jay-Z, he wouldn't have probably had the level of success he had. And then without him, Rihanna wouldn't be where she is today. Think about it. She's a musician, but now she's a billionaire in the beauty industry. And that's going back to this, what Jay-Z was just saying just now. Him giving her the blueprint, so him showing her the way to do it. You don't need to now be caught up in these music deals where you're being robbed blind and you're not making any money, and you're just seeing one thing or one side of the puzzle or one piece of the puzzle, not realizing there's a bigger picture and there's so many more pies that you can eat from. So I think I really took from that the importance of passing down information. So right now we live in an age where, to be honest, the information is there, the information is available. Why is the information there? Why is it available? Because people have taken the time to also give us those blueprints. So we look at channels like my own, where I'm talking about budgeting and personal finances from my own personal journey, me being in debt, me overcoming debt, me learning about how to budget, how to manage finances, how to make money stretch and work for me. All those things that I've learned, I've now come and I'm sharing it on my YouTube channel. But equally, there's so many other people now that are doing the same in the finance space, in the education space, like across all industries. You type into YouTube right now, starting a career in fintech, you're going to see videos. Type in how to become an air hostess, you're going to see videos. And right now there's just so much information now that people are sharing, giving us the blueprint, which then makes it easier for the next person coming behind us. So no longer do we need to keep information to ourselves, but actually it's important to share what we know, pass it on, so that it makes it easier for the person coming behind us. I'm a mother of 3 boys, and all of what I'm learning now in terms of personal finances, budgeting, learning how to invest and all that stuff, I'm passing it on to my children now, so that they don't have to wait until they're in their 30s to know how to manage money. They can know from a very young age how to be good with money, which means they're not going to waste all of that money that they make in their teens, in their 20s, because they've been given that blueprint. So now they can go further, faster than me. And I think the important lesson to take away from that conversation that he was having there is the importance of writing down that blueprint, not keeping it to yourself, not being selfish with the information that you have and the knowledge that you've acquired over your lifetime, but really be very intentional about sharing and passing it on so that you can make life easier for those coming up behind you. I'd also say, yes, I've said already about the books and podcasts and stuff that there is for you to take advantage of. So I know in the personal finance space, like I mentioned, there's loads of YouTube channels. So Humble Penny, they're amazing. Mama Furfa, she's amazing. You've got Veronia Spain. You've got Make Money Simple. You've got Finance D. There's just so many people now that are sharing this finance content online, which is important for you to tap into so that you can increase your own financial knowledge as well. And yeah, we could just ultimately make life better for the generation coming up behind us. So that's definitely what I took away from that part of the conversation between Jay-Z and Kevin Hart. Okay, so that was the last of the 3 clips that I wanted to share with you guys in this live. And yeah, I thought it was a really, really good point that he made. And in fact, let me rewind. So what I really took away from that point of the interview and what made me clip it is the fact that the bit before it, which I didn't show, Kevin Hart was like bigging him up and saying how amazing it is that he's businesses were able to blow, and like how did he make it all happen all at once. And that's when he now goes on to explain that no, it didn't just happen all at once, don't get it twisted. Ace of Spades was 15 years in the making. And that stood out to me because it just reminds me of that saying that the day you plant the seed is not the day that you eat its fruit. So yes, you may look at what you've started now and think, oh my gosh, this thing is never going to grow. This thing is not going to become anything. I've been on YouTube now, I'm talking from personal experience, for 2 years. My channel hasn't blown, and I could be discouraged thinking, oh my gosh, I've been working so hard. I've done over 200 videos. Why am I not on 100,000 subscribers? But actually, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. And just because it hasn't come into fruition today doesn't mean it's not going to come into fruition as the years progress. What's important is that you continue to put in the work on a daily basis consistently. So continue to show up, continue to work, believe in your dream, continue to water that seed daily. And eventually it's going to germinate, it's going to grow, and then you're going to be able to eat the fruits of it in the future. And I think it was just a real eye-opener when he said that. 15 years in the making. Now we just see it and we just think, wow, he's a billionaire, his businesses have blown, he's a successful rapper, he's done all of these amazing, brilliant things. But actually, it started somewhere. It started as a seed that he planted, and then he continued to water it. So I guess I really want you to be encouraged watching this, wherever you are on your financial journey, whether it's paying down debt, whether it's saving for a house, whether it's starting a business, whatever you're trying to do financially, recognize that it's not going to be an overnight thing. It is going to take time. It's going to take investment. It's going to take consistency. But if you stay at it long enough, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to apply yourself, eventually over time you're going to start to see the fruits of your labor. And that's what we're seeing now live and direct from Jay-Z, in that, yes, fast forward now 20 years, 15 years, and he's basically blowing. And the same thing could definitely happen for you guys too, and hopefully it's gonna happen for me too. So yeah, it was just a really, really interesting interview. I'll definitely recommend you have a listen to it after this discussion, because these are just a snippet of some of the amazing gems that he shared. And it's good to, I guess, hear from people that are where you're trying to get to, or who have been where you're trying to go, because then you can kind of learn from their experiences and learn from their journey, so that you don't have to go through the same things or make the same mistakes that they've gone. You can kind of skip it and accelerate quicker. So Elaine said, totally agree. We need to share information to pass on to the next generation and next to keep it going. So that was in relation to the last point about Jay-Z, which was really good. And it's so true. We need to pass that information on. And then Elaine says, perseverance, patience, and put in that work and you'll get there. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, Elaine. And that's basically it in a nutshell, actually. You've summarized what I was saying just now so beautifully. And that wraps up, I guess, Jay-Z and Kevin Hart's interview, what I wanted to say about it. I could literally go on talking about that interview for the next 20 minutes, but it's late. I need to go pick up my kids. So I'm going to leave it there for now. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's live. If you enjoyed it, like I said, don't leave without giving it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend or family member. I will be back live again next week, Monday, not Tuesday, as I'm going away. But I'll be back live next Monday. I'll do a thumbnail and save the date kind of thing, so you'll know when it's happening. But after next week, we'll be returning to Tuesday evenings, because I think we're kind of getting a little rhythm going, which I'm kind of feeling. So yeah, let me know anyway if you have any questions. I don't think I saw any questions, which is cool. We can save them for next week's live and we can chop it up then. But that is literally it for today's video. I thank you guys for let me start again. That is it for today's video, guys. Like I said, the budget templates are all in the description box below. If you want help, one-to-one coaching, you need somebody to kind of help you get started in your financial journey, you need an accountability partner, you don't know where to get started, then yeah, holler at me, slide in my DMs, click the link below and we can have that conversation. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you on next week's live. Take care. Bye.